You just know because like it's a Dennis Leary thing. He did cockle in a song once.
I don't know what a cockle is, but if you warm it, apparently it's like a fuzzy warm. It's like a nice feeling, is what I understand. Yeah. Is that thing just on or is it recording?
No, I'm not recording anything yet. I'm still. I'm not recording anything right now. I'm recording stuff at the house. I got a new Osmo action camera because after countless fucking hours of
Osmo sounds
of research, it's DJI. It's they do drones.
Yeah. I gotta warn you, at any minute
you're gonna blow up.
I might have to take a fucking shit.
So it's
this isn't an impromptu. I didn't get to do my morning rituals. You called, and I was sound asleep, and you're like, yeah, I'm like, let's do it. And now I'm regret. I have like 2 days worth of pizzas sitting in me. And they're so my roommate got like pizza the other day, and it was Hungry Howie's, and I was like, I hadn't had it in like, it's just because Hungry Howie's is like, you always think like, oh, that's just like the
it's a step above a Little Caesars.
And I like Little Caesars, like the junkier there's like a mid range where it doesn't cut the mustard, but those lower end pizzas where you start to hover around like frozen pizza territory are actually like I find like really delicious.
I love Little Caesars.
Like Little Caesars and Hungry Howie's. I like when you get into those mid range ones like the Pizza Huts and stuff.
Ugh.
Before you get back to like the mom and pop shops that are hand making them and whatever. Those are all trash.
Yeah, pretty much.
But those low end ones, man, I kind of like. And so he got Hungry Howie's. So it's like the next day I was like, it was still in my head. So I went on the website and I was looking to order, and they had some. Now bear with me. They had like a special new kind of pizza.
Oh no!
And since it was like on sale, also, the Jew in me got fired up.
Was it Papadias?
Well, no, I'm saying they had like a special one, like
topping wise.
Topping wise. It was a Cuban, so it was like all the ingredients of like a Cuban sandwich. So if you like a Cuban sandwich,
mustard,
which I love a Cuban sandwich. That I was like, let me try it. Totally like thinking this was gonna flame out. Yeah, it has like a mustard mayo base for sauce. It has shredded pork. It had ham. It had salami, and it had pickles on it, just like a sandwich. Like if you like, it get your face, you're like, you look like you're about to throw up in your lap.
Only because of the mustard and mayo. I can't.
Mustard and mayo. Yeah, I like mustard and mayo on a sandwich. Yeah. On a Cuban sandwich, it's like required. So, dude, let me tell you, it was something else. It was delicious. It tasted exactly like a Cuban sandwich that had like flopped open and you were eating flat. It was, and their crust, is like I said, cheap fucking, everything's cheap about it, but it was delicious. So it was so good I had it again the next day. So like 2 days in a row, all I had were Cuban pizzas. I didn't eat anything else.
Jesus Christ.
2 large pizzas, 2 days in a row. Oh, but that's like, like for 3 meals for the day and all that. Whatever.
Well, I had Hungry Howie's earlier in the week when I had the Domino's fiasco happen when I ordered.
I forgot you had a pizza fiasco.
So I was like, it was Sunday or Monday. I was like, I'd hankered for pizza for like days, and I was like, I'll save it for. I think it was a Sunday, and I was like, you know what? All right, it's time to pull the trigger on this, and I ordered it. I went down to the garage. I smoked 2 bowls. I was because now my routine is I go down there to smoke. And I start watching like how-to videos and stuff, and working with this camera and editing and some other stuff that I'm working on now. And so like 30 minutes goes by, and I'm like, all right, I'm fucking hungry. Like, let's do this. And I look at my tracker app, and it hasn't gone past the prep stage on the Domino's pizza tracker. And I'm like, oh no, this has only happened one other time. The time with Earl.
All right.
Yeah. So I went, this can't possibly happen a second time. I go back up. I go back.
What did you get for ordering Domino's?
I go back up the stairs, and I sit down to watch some YouTube to wait for the pizza, and I get a phone call, and like, this is such and such from Domino's. I'm just calling to let you know that I haven't even started your food, and that the wait time isn't going to be 30 minutes. It's going to be about 2 hours. And I went, huh? This is what, 7:30? No, it was like 8:30. Yeah, it's 8:30 because I ordered at 7:59. It's 8:30, and I was like 9:30, 10:30, and I'm like, that's no good. I can't wait 2 hours for pizza, and I go, wait, is it 2 hours from now or 2 hours from I place the order? She goes,
like time served.
Yeah, and she goes, oh, 2 hours from now, and I'm like,
how is that even physically possible?
I was high, starving, and baffled. I didn't know like how to react to it because this kind of shit just doesn't happen. And I'm just like, are you the only human being working there? You know, like there's questions. But
right, it's like I picture like she's going to make, or he or she's going to make like all the outstanding orders, and then lock up.
Yeah.
And on the way home, deliver them all.
It's crazy. So I just didn't. I had no interest in figuring out why this is happening. And I was like, listen, just give me my refund. And she's like, okay, you want a refund? Well, that'll take about 5 or 7 business days. And I'm like, you know what? Sure, it will. And I hung up on her. And then
did it get refunded? Or are you still waiting?
I think I'm still waiting. I'll check. I haven't even checked, Ben. And then I went back down to the garage because I was mad. And when I'm mad, I smoke. So I smoked another bowl. So I'm really fucking hungry. Now I'm mad. Well, I'm better now. So I come up starving, and I'm just like, well, I've got like fucking. Maybe I'll just make breakfast for dinner because we've always got eggs and shit. And then Talia's like, oh well, you know, in like 10 minutes, Hungry Howie's is gonna show up. I'm like, oh, I love you, kind of thing. But I ate that pizza. I ate 3/4 of it, and I'm like, and I purposely saved the rest because I know if I try to finish off a whole pizza, my stomach's gonna fucking hurt. So I'm like, no, stop yourself. You eat this tomorrow. I finished it off 2 days later because the next day I got the COVID shot, and then the bad stuff happened. So yeah, I'm fully.
Bad stuff happened.
Yeah, that COVID shot. That put me down, Ben. That put me down.
That's
good.
funny. I when I got the second shot, it just made my arm sore for the day. Or the night or something.
Okay,
like
so first off, because the Delta variant is creating such havoc in Florida right now, like there's been a surge of people. The testing is now crazy. Markham Park is now closed through the weekdays again for testing. They revamped it. I just found
the park's closed.
Yeah, I just found that out yesterday. I was gonna go flying, and my flying buddy's like, "Don't bother. They got the COVID back up during the weekdays." And I'm like, for fuck's sakes. So when I got my first shot, and like I think it was like the 4th or the 5th of July, there's nobody in the fucking CVS. I walked right in, got the shot, walked right out, or waited 15 minutes. You wait 15 minutes after the shot, make sure you're all right, you go home.
Yeah, they told me to do that, and I was like, I wandered around for 2 minutes, and since we're both literally like a minute from our house from CVS, yeah. I was like, in that 1 minute, I don't think I'm gonna fall over.
No.
So let me just drive home.
After this, and the second shot was.
I feel like that was entirely a CVS scam to get you to mill around the store and convince yourself into buying something.
It worked the second time. I ended up buying gummy vitamins.
They got you.
They got me. They got the line
because there's no money being made on that shot.
Because the line I was
losing.
The line I was waiting in was in the vitamin aisle. So I'm sitting there just staring at these fucking multivitamin gummies for the better part of like what was I there? I was there for almost an hour and a half, and I'm just like, well, fuck it. I know I'm buying these. You got me. You got me because I was like, fuck. But what the guy was doing the second time was he'd take like 10 or 15 people, He'd take all their information. They'd prepare all the shots, line you up, and basically go down the line, call you over, and like, boom shot, dude. You boom shot, good. You're done.
Yeah,
boom shot, dude. You're
assembly
good.
line.
Yeah, and like I will tell you, like the first shot I got, the needle didn't even fucking feel it, but the second time, it was like the first time that fucking Jeff stuck me with testosterone in like 2012, where like the needle was all shaky and shit when it went in, and I was like, oh my god, this hurts, like fuck.
Oh, I didn't feel the actual
No,
shot
man,
either
because the
time.
guy was just going right down the line. He's like, poof, next you, or poof, like it was like no pillow talk, no nothing. He was just trying to get it done because he's like, oh, CVS doesn't stop the reservation window, so we're way over reservated. We have all these walk-ins.
Is that a word?
I'm pretty sure I made a word up in.
Over
And yeah, over for all these walk-ins, and there's only 3 of us here. I felt kind of bad for him, but at the same time, I'm like, oh, motherfucker should know. Florida's always up to its tricks. But I felt nothing. I felt fine. I went home, fine, slept fine. Next day, noontime. I'm like, oh, I dropped off some parts for our crew, and I'm like, oh, I'll grab lunch before I get back to the office. Reasonable thought, about 11:30, and as I'm driving, I'm trying to think of what places I want to hit along the way, up in Deerfield, and then I go, I don't think I'm hungry. Holy shit, I don't think I'm hungry. Like, I'm suddenly not hungry, and then I'm like, wow, why do I feel sick? Like, I felt like physically sick, and started to spin a little bit, and then it just went downhill from there. And by the end of the night, I'm wearing fleece pajamas. I'm wearing a fucking hoodie. I'm rolled up in our sheets and our covers. I have the fan off. I'm trying to sweat this out. I cannot sweat because the chills are that bad. And then I
think I hate having the chills the most of anything when
it's the
sick.
worst, man.
I mean, I hate when I feel like I'm gonna puke, but that eventually comes to pass when you got that. When you can't get warm, that's the worst.
Bro. And then like you find yourself, like you end up going to sleep and you wake up and you're in this nice like warm like cocoon that you've created for yourself, and you're like, oh, I gotta pee. So you're like, oh, is it worth it?
As soon as some of that skin hits the air,
oh, it's no good, man. It's
back
no.
to shaking.
Your body immediately goes, nope. It took almost 50 minutes for me to roll out of bed, run to pee, and come back. Oh, it was terrible.
Plus, you're usually like super sore when you're that like sick.
And I remember like
your body has all those aches.
I forced myself to work because A, I need the money, and B, my brother needs to be able to get to work. And
you gotta fix that.
Well, it fixed itself, Ben.
I understand. He could Uber his ass to work one day.
But I was feeling terrible, and then we pulled into a Wawa for gas. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna because I hadn't eaten, I couldn't eat, so I'm like, I'm gonna force myself to eat some breakfast and drink an energy drink, and I started to feel progressively better, and then it was fine. But fucking 16 hours, man. Jesus Christ, that was terrible. And if that's just like a taste of what when you get COVID bad, what it feels like.
Well,
oh, bro.
except for all the coughing, breathing issues.
Yeah, all those. But I had breathing. It was a little hard to breathe for a little bit for a couple hours there. I was really kind of worried. I could feel my heart beating, and I was just like. And I'm like,
you were putting thoughts in your own head and making them a reality.
Yes, I was. and then I was like, all right, Marco, you know exactly what's happening. Just let this go through. For whatever reason, it's just hitting you harder than it hits everybody else when it comes to the side effects. Just let it go. And now I feel fine.
You didn't like slap yourself in the face and go, quit being such a pussy.
I will tell you that when you're in that much pain, and let's be honest, it's way less pain than actually having COVID. But when you're in that much pain, and the people you know who are anti-vaxxers or won't get their shot or just won't wear a mask, those people, they irritate you so much more. and you know it's just because you're mad because you're fucking just in such a
you're
terrible condition.
You're going through the shit.
Yeah. Well, we had that conversation. With
it was like they were like, I don't know what they were talking about, but the two in our group that have not gotten the poke.
Yeah.
Which I guess I just threw them under the bus because I think everyone can pretty much figure out through our conversations. Pretty much the 4 people in our
There's
chat.
enough context clues.
Yeah. But I listen. I appreciate everyone that listens to this podcast, but I don't assume that any are either junior detectives or are trying to suss this out. So whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think was that when one of them was having an issue of their own?
I think
while they were traveling and visiting family, or was this
No. This was just
was it just something came up?
It was just I think I'd taken that to her
because we don't talk about that shit in the group.
No, but I had taken that to her doctor's appointment, and they were just saying like, oh, there's a chance you won't be allowed in the room when the baby's born, and that really just like
is that still an up in the air?
So we were at the hospital yesterday for 4 hours because we thought we were going to have a baby.
Yeah.
But it ended up being a false.
Here's another thing. This is why I slept in. I felt like you were on call today, and you're not straying too far from home base with like plans and stuff. So I figured like today, this was more doable at any given hour. Than usual.
Oh yeah, I only have
I
only have one commitment at like 1:32. My cousin needs help hanging a TV on a wall. And I told him I'd go.
Tell him to get some of those like picture hangers and do it themselves.
That's not how that's gonna work, man.
Aren't TVs light enough now?
I don't know the size of the television.
Light as a feather, stiff as a board.
Yeah. But it was something like that. And
so wait a minute.
And between that and how I was feeling after the shot, I was just in that mood, and I'm just like I was just venting really. But when it was like explaining like, oh, we would never personally do anything, like that's not the fucking point. But then I realized I'm like, oh, if I go off on this, we're gonna be in this tangent for the rest of the fucking day, and I have no interest in having this long drawn out argument where we're just saying like you and I are just verbatim saying the same shit for fucking 3.5 hours, and they're just regurgitating the same talking points they've heard or seen on television. Now, you know what? I have no need for any of this nonsense.
Or
you win.
Or Q-searched.
Yeah, I'm like, you win. You win. That's my new thing with people when I say something and they say something that is so asinine that I'm like, you should be called out for this, but I don't have the energy for this anymore. So you win. You win.
Yeah.
And we move on with life.
I do. At this point, the whole thing's asinine because the nature of the vaccine is such that you could still get. I think people don't understand. They think you get the shot, you don't get sick, and that's like not what it's about. The thing the shot does, which is probably the most important thing. I think I've said this before. The only thing that matters is that it reduces your chance of dying to almost nothing.
Yeah.
And it reduces you being hospitalized significantly. So, I mean, those are two big things. Listen, man, I know I got that shot for both of those reasons. Like, I didn't want to drop dead, and I didn't want to get hit with a fucking hospital bill because I don't know how. Listen, you may get a shot for free, but I don't think getting hospitalized, all of that's covered by the government.
Not at this point. Maybe the early cases, but not anymore.
Right. It's like, well, now there's a vaccine. We're not covering your fucking, your stay and ventilator and be like, dude, some of those people were in the hospital for a long fucking time. And I know our friend Jessica was hospitalized for it, but I'm pretty sure she has insurance through her work. So she probably didn't have to worry about that. But like, man, I know if I got hit with that fucking bill,
you'd have to disappear and assume no identity.
No, it would just be it would be what I like to call 7 years of bad luck. It would be like breaking a mirror. It'd be like, well, man, in 7 years this will drop off my credit and we could try again to get a car, you know. I'll only be in my mid-50s, but you know. That effort to rebuild my credit would be right out the window.
Life can start at any age, Ben.
So yeah, apparently. So I was like, I mean, there's some people listening that cannot relate to this. They're not poor fucks that can't afford insurance. But honestly, it's like I'm gonna take that free shot, because that's a word that like balance even if it costs $100, balanced against a potential fucking $100,000 or $1 million hospital bill, depending what fucking roll of the dice I get. If my stay was 2 days in a hospital or 2 months in a hospital, or I mean, at some point you're like, fuck it, just put me in the box and put me on the ground because it's easier than what I've got to deal with afterwards. But I was like, fuck it, free shot. Where do I sign up?
Yeah, so. It's crazy too because like we went to the hospital for the labor check, and the entire time we're there, I'm like, they're like, oh, we're gonna do this test and this test. And I'm looking like this, like, thank God my wife has health insurance because this would be just this labor check.
They say like having the cost of having a baby is either in the tens of thousands
after
or 20. Just like the process. I will tell
you this.
Tens of thousands.
I will tell you this. After her insurance, after they cover everything else, I think we are on the hook for just the labor, hospital, getting baby home. The second I set baby carrier on the bed and we are home, I think that journey is going to be about $4,500. Jesus Christ. That's after everything.
Be careful. They're going to charge you for ridiculous shit.
Which is, we were watching a bunch of videos where one of the birthing videos was just like the lady's like, yeah, every time I got an ibuprofen, they'd scan your thing. And you'd be surprised how expensive ibuprofen is in the hospital. So bring your own ibuprofen.
I was going to say, are you going to bring a bottle?
Yeah, so we started watching all these videos, and they're like, this is what you bring your own. If you're going to breastfeed, bring your own nipple cream and pads and stuff. Bring your own diapers. Bring your own ibuprofen.
Oh, bro, you should just find. Here's what you should do. You want some real shyster, so, like not shyster, but like some real shady advice. Find someone that's like just not, like laying in a bed, not moving, and just get their bracelet off their hand and put it on their tab. Just slip that thing off their skinny dying wrist and put it on hers, and just take hers off. And then switch it back when you're going to check out.
I'm almost positive I know somebody who's done that, and I just don't know that. I just haven't heard the story yet. I'm almost positive we know someone who's done it, and we just haven't heard the story yet.
Like, I think if I got hospitalized or something, I'd sneak out of bed and do the old switcheroo with some sleeping old dude that looks like either he or his family could afford it, he wasn't going to be around to pay the bill.
That's anyways. A Seinfeld moment right there, buddy.
I mean, man.
That's great.
Listen, man. It's dog world out there.
Do what you got to do.
Yeah, man. Got to get by.
But yeah, man. So it was crazy because there was a moment where we thought her water had broke and they were just going to keep us, and this was going to be world's longest labor because my wife's not even having contractions yet. She had one so far that she knows of. So,
I swear, if I had a wife, I would be relentlessly,
oh my God,
just like pranking and practical joking her. And
here's
at the end, like when she's like, "Oh, my water can break at any time now." The next day, I would have those granny things covering the fucking furniture, the plastic, the walls up to the ceiling, to the floor would be like those
Dexter?
Sheets of plastic like Dexter. And I'd be like, these are the designated sit zones for now, because when your water breaks, I don't need to get a new couch.
Here's a fun story. So
the deposit on the apartment can't handle splash zones in these areas.
You see the fucking thing they sent? They sent a fucking email to everybody being like, this is a smoke-free residence. You can't smoke anywhere within 25 feet of the property, not inside your dwellings, not inside your garages, nowhere. And I'm reading this
it's always been. I think when I lived here like a decade ago.
Oh, no, it's always been smoke-free, but I'm sitting there, I'm like, who's this letter for? Who's everyone who lives in these fucking apartments smokes weed. Everyone.
Yeah.
I will die on that sword. You can't go get your mail without going, some indigo.
Yeah.
Because our mailbox is along the route you take to walk around the lake, so you're always having people just wandering around fucking smoking blunts and shit.
The guy lived above us.
He was the worst. It was reeking. It was reeking through the fucking ceiling.
It was
reek.
He was
Leak.
I think he was a drug dealer. He might have been growing up there. Because I heard one day, dude, for like a week, I heard like heavy construction upstairs. Like he was built. It was almost like he was building like racks or structures, like to grow his plants on. And stuff. And I don't know what he could have been. It was like major construction, and for a while, for a stretch, and for a while there, it was in my roommate's side, and it was like coming down through his.
Oh, that's
closet,
right. Huss threw a fit about
and
that.
It was like making his clothes smell and whatever. And he went up, not only I think he went up there for noise a couple times, but while he was up there complaining to them at like 2 a.m. or 3 a.m, he was like, also, man, go smoke somewhere else in your apartment, because right now every time you smoke, it's drifting down through my shit. And everything smells of it, and like these are my work clothes, yada yada. And so, literally, they must have taken it to heart. They must have actually listened to him, because all of a sudden it started smelling when I would walk by my closet. And some days I would walk in my room in my closet, whoo, so he's up there doing something. And yeah, but it was never as bad as apparently he was describing. But yeah. I was starting to. I would know when they were smoking up, and I think it was dealing, because he would run down and like there'd be someone sitting in the car and he'd go shake their hand and
you see what they're doing with the pool?
Chat for a few minutes and then no, dude, no, not in. I haven't been over by the pool in forever. What are they doing?
They're redoing all the patio shit. They're redoing the bricks. They've got half the bricks ripped up.
Does that mean the pool's closed?
Yeah, pool's closed right now.
That's fucked up.
Like you just said.
No, but I mean, like.
Here, no, I know what you mean, because it's fucking summertime. Why are you doing this renovation now? Now.
Yeah. Although we live in South Florida, it's almost like
there's a couple weeks in fucking like January. You can
and you can't even time when it's cold here. It's like 2 weeks where it's like nobody's using the pool because it's like 65 degrees. The water's a bit chilly right now. No, but here's the thing. Like, if it was the only pool, if we didn't have two others, then I would say, hey, that's part of what rent pays for.
Mm-hmm.
How much of a relief are we getting on our rent, even if it's $5 or $1 or whatever? How much are you not? Because literally, we're paying for this.
Mm-hmm.
You just give them. You got to give them the business when you can. See what you can get out of them,
because they'll take it all from you, buddy.
It's not fucking cheap living here.
No, it is not.
I mean, in South Florida.
At least I don't have to worry about the vehicle situation anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yesterday.
Wait. So you went on a false alarm, and so you're just sitting waiting, huh?
So it was great Friday. I woke up Friday, drove to work, found out that I was being laid off.
Well, we didn't get past your.
Well, hold on.
Oh, okay.
Hold on. We can get back to it at any time. Found out I was getting laid off.
How crazy is this year?
Ben. Oh, buddy. This is something else, man.
This is like in the span of a year, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, two fucking.
Yeah. So I come home and I'm just kind of like, I'm just taking this weekend off. Like, I just decided.
Well, what's the reason you're no longer working there?
So The big
because it's kind of relevant to like real world stuff that people are familiar with.
So, you remember the Surfside collapse? That we probably have
The
covered
condo,
this.
yeah.
The condo collapse. And if you're listening to this, you know Surfside condo collapse. Just fucking Google it. And you'll be like, holy shit. And I'm like, yeah, that's holy shit. Well, there's about, I don't know, 10,000 buildings in South Florida that meet the requirements to fucking fall under my God could collapse at any time territory. So we have a bit of an infrastructure problem in South Florida.
I mean,
we just do. We have lots
you're-
of bridges. We have lots of highways. We have lots of roadways. We have lots of big construction.
Yeah.
So
We've definitely, you and I collectively, or through our various jobs over the years, have been in many parking garages in condos over on the ocean.
oh, absolutely.
And we've seen over the years, like, yeah, this looks funky.
Yeah. It's not hard to be in a fucking parking garage on a building built.
Standing, like an ankle deep standing water, and it's like it hasn't rained in 4 days. How long has this been soaking in to the concrete?
And you're just asking some passerby, like maintenance guy, like, hey, is this a thing? They're like, ever since I've worked here. And they've been there 20 years. You're like, huh, okay. Well, anyway, we have lots of shit like that down here. South Florida's unique in its infrastructure because it's ever growing, ever expanding. And shit just ages quicker because of the ever-growing number of automobiles we have on the road.
Well, also, I don't know if it's different, like up north because of the big weather changes and you get expand and contract kind of issues. But down here, you don't get that as much.
And that's why.
But you get water. It's kind of like you get like.
Well, for at least what we're talking about, you get seawater.
Well, on the
salt water, man, salt water is just no fucking joke over time on most things, man.
Right.
It just eats the fuck away.
We used to do the home theater stuff. We had a client that had like a couple bars on the beach over right between like Sunrise and Las Olas.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the main strip.
That's a very prime area, yeah.
And he had like 3 bars on that strip, and we'd get called out maybe almost every year to year and a half to replace a TV that had rotted from the seawater. Like it happens that.
So it's super common. So
if they're like out 24 hours a day, exposed.
Yeah, if you have any, I mean, I remember doing AC units, and you get a unit that's almost 10 years old over there, and there's almost no aluminum left on it. Mm-hmm. Like the old aluminum coils they used to have, you would just see coiled copper on some of these older units. You're like, God damn, how are you still working? It's crazy. It's crazy. So I'm saying there's a lot of erosion. Well, I was working at the Boca Resort. Boca Resort is very...
Is that erosion or corrosion?
It's erosion. All right, I guess it's both, actually.
Corrosion.
Because sand is also particles, which is corroding or eroding.
I think sea air corrodes, and like erosion's more like water and sand constantly running over something and like kind of sanding it down. I think is what more like erosion.
Yeah. It would help if we knew anything we were talking about.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm working over Boca Resort.
I mean, you know, neither of us has I could say I went to college, but it was art school.
I partied at colleges when I was of college age, but there you go.
Attending college, you was visiting someone that actually was a student.
That's correct.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm working at Boca Resort, which is famous for being one of the most historical kind of buildings down here. It's over.
Is it like an expensive place, or is it just an old place?
It's both. I think they paid like. I think they paid, the recent buyout was close to $170 million for the whole property. That included the resort, the houses that we worked on one of the houses on site there. That was when I got bit by the poodle. Remember? They're back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big 2,000 square foot fucking kitchen we did.
Yeah.
Where we did all the painting and the lady's like, I don't want it this color.
That was I had to I had to jump back a couple of jobs to remember that one.
So, what we're doing, the guy bought it, or a corporation or whatever bought it, and then is pumping like $70-something million back into it. And my company was doing the Japanese bocce courts, which is There's going to be like Morimoto, I think is the name of the restaurant chain, the high end like restaurant chain, and then bocce courts attached to it.
Bocce ball?
Yeah.
Which I still don't know what that is.
I don't fuck it. It's something for overprivileged white people to understand, not us, buddy.
Yeah.
We're never gonna understand that shit. Okay.
Is it like sort of like a shuffleboard type of?
I honestly, I really don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know bocce ball at all. All I know is they're spending a shit ton of money on all this new construction. They're rebuilding the entranceway. They're rebuilding all this shit's being under construction. But what was weird to me at the very beginning when I walked on the job was, well, where's all the attention being paid to the main building, which was built in 1920? There was no attention being built to the renovation of the main building. All they were going to do is renovate the rooms, I was told, and put like new floors down, repaint the walls, just a cursory coat of paint, and call it a day. When in reality, and I know this because I worked on the underground of a lot of this shit, is, bro, you're talking about a building that was built, construction techniques over 100 years ago. It was built on the beach and has survived multiple renovations. Probably
the only like redeeming factor, I think, is that if you get old enough with something being built, that I think you get more quality work, and you know what I mean?
I agree, but
and also like maybe some of those earlier techniques stand a longer test of time. Or the materials used and stuff like that.
I agree, but there's a lot of factors when it comes to that stuff.
It still doesn't like factor in all that ocean air kind of stuff and seawater.
Construction techniques were way. In fact, the construction techniques of the Boca Resort are way different. A lot of clay-based shit and whatnot, because that's what they had available back then. And then over the years, rebar and all that stuff. But all the rebar's been rusted out. All the old concrete that was poured using those methods over 100. Concrete is so much better now than it was. So it just needs, like, when you do big construction renovation on a building of that age that you want to restore it, you've got to go load-bearing pillar by load-bearing pillar and rebuild them.
And so what you're saying is that, like, yeah, because I was curious, like, on these old buildings, like, how do you deal with things like plumbing?
You do one of two things. You do either a floor up complete renovation of the infrastructure and superstructure, or you make it into a goddamn historical structure / museum, and you only concentrate on the parts, because if you're never going to walk on certain floors, you're never going to do shit, that natural erosion of material will, like, be next to nothing because no one's touching it. And you only worry about the areas of the building that you're currently caring about. You have your yearly inspections and all that, but the building will last longer if it's not occupied, which is why, like, if Egyptians just walked on the pyramids every fucking day for thousands of years, we wouldn't have pyramids. They would just, over time, erode away. So you do one of those two things. Well, they decided the third option, which was build a bunch of cool new shit around it and just slap a new coat of paint on it. That was the whole thing that I've come to find out. Well, after we started opening shit up because we had to, all of a sudden you're like, oh, where's that pipe lead? Oh, this pipe isn't on any drawings. Oh, okay, well, let's open up the wall and see that pipe. Oh, we opened the wall. Oh, pipe here, but what's all this electrical here? And you see where I'm going, where the more stuff that you open up trying to find or trying to run something down, now you're in 5 new problems. And before long, you realize, like, oh, we don't know what the fuck is behind these walls. We don't know what the fuck they've done over all these years. You know, you can't find 100-year-old prints for this kind of shit. And all the different, you know, semi-legal shit that's been done before or after. You don't know, man. So what was happening was we'd call it an inspection. They'd come, look up and go, okay, your stuff looks fine, but what's all this other stuff? That led to discovery / upon discovery. And then a structural guy walked in there apparently sometime last week and went, oh no, this is not going to work.
I guess in theory, all the old stuff that's been abandoned that you redid somewhere else, that stuff obviously hasn't been maintained, and it's probably been deteriorated.
And here's something that was probably a point of or will become a point of concern in the Surfside incident that they're finding apparent in the Boca Resort incident, because they've got
there's no incident yet.
Not yet, but they've got a lot of new construction, which means a lot of drilling, which means a lot of shaking, a lot of big machinery. So they're coming across I guess they came across the issue with some of the load-bearing structures on the closest to some of the newest construction is showing cracks because the ground shaking so much, which wasn't built to withstand. It just wasn't. Especially in Florida, earthquake is the one thing we never really have to worry. If the ground opens up, it's a fucking what are those fucking sinkholes? It's a fucking sinkhole, okay? But that's it. There. That's the only thing we have to worry about is a sinkhole. No sandworm comes out of them. Just people go in and never. That's it. So, yeah, they're coming across all these issues. So you're talking about a project that's going to be, from what I was told, is they have to go over the entire building, and there's several buildings of the similar age around it, and they've got to figure out if any of it's still usable. They might have to tear the whole goddamn thing down, and there's a giant, 20, 30-story tower right next to it.
There's people living in all this stuff, right?
All this stuff, no. There's people that do live there, but Boca Resort's huge. So this is just the most historical part of it. And people rent bungalows and stuff behind it. It's more rental than living. The living spaces of the houses, and that whole community's pretty much cut off from all this.
So what is the resort? What is the building that you're talking about?
It's a hotel.
Okay.
It's the big. It's the big hotel. Yeah, it's a big hotel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's better in a sense.
Yeah.
Than like a condo where every fucking space is owned by someone and occupied by someone.
Now the tower. The Addison Tower, I'm not sure what that is. Now it might have been living at some point. Now they're going to transfer it over. I don't know. It's empty. It's empty today as we talk.
Well, whoever spent the money and is the new owners got fucked.
Well, what I was told by my now ex-boss was, you can expect to hear, especially locally, all the news start to leak out, lawsuits flying around. The city's probably going to be sued because a lot of this apparently from the beginning was they sent all the civil engineers in and all the city engineers, and everyone walked the whole property, the building and everything with the plans, prints, and ideas of what they were going to do with the property, and everyone okayed it and said everything was fine. And now all of a sudden it's not.
Because probably everyone got paid.
And it's halfway through the project.
Everyone got paid to make sure this happened.
So this is going to become a shit show.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, that was our big contract, and then there was another big bid in Orlando, but because of thank you COVID, that project has been postponed until next year, and it'll probably have to be rebid again and whatnot. And you know what happens with a lot of these big construction projects. Once they get paused, anything can happen. So he's just like, I might call you back in a few months if I have work. I would love to have you. I'm not firing you because I can't use you or don't want you.
There's just nothing to do.
There's nothing to do. So yeah. I came home from that, and I was just like, well, fuck. I have a kid, and I was gonna take
this time. It wasn't anyone's fault.
No,
and it wasn't like the last time.
And I'm in
we were both looking for jobs,
and I'm in an advantageous position because I'm about to have a child. I've been planning for this, obviously taking a few weeks off, so I've been setting money aside. So I fell on a cushion that I made for an unrelated incident, but is going to help me out here. So, yeah, I'll get a job. I'll figure it out. I made some calls, and it's just about, once I'm ready to go back to work, where I'll go and what I'll do. But in the meantime, I've got these cool action cameras. I'm going to try to do something with
that. Nothing like trying to start a side hustle when you have no main hustle.
And it's great.
You're supposed to do that on the side. so that when your main hustle falls out, your side hustle's ready to go.
But I started all this preparation work like 2 weeks ago. So again, I'm at a spot where I'm really literally ready to like just start editing stuff. And so now I just have extra time to do that, and I was going to do that anyway. So everything works out. I just get an extra week off, basically, and then the few weeks it takes to get involved into a new job. But there's a few places off air I'll talk to you about. Maybe one of them could help you out as well. I'm not sure. So,
well, I'm either getting a double payday pretty soon, or I'm ready to start selling myself on the street. It's feast or famine for me, and we'll see which one it is.
I know the best corners right down the street. So when you have,
I feel like there's already people.
Yeah, but if you need to do those hostile takeovers, Ben, I'm going to film the shit out of that. You can take them. They've been street wary for a long time. You've got the advantage of being the young buck on the corner.
Yeah, but I'm not that young.
No, youth is something that they forgot how to spell a long time ago.
I don't know,
Ben.
those street muscles. You know? There's something about like iron sharpening iron.
There's at least one crackhead.
When you have to like exist outside in this Florida heat, and you're
just saying there's this sort of like sixth like synth or
when you have to fight for your own space under the overpass.
Yeah.
It's survival of the fittest. So anyone out there now, you don't want to fuck with. Let me tell you,
they've done some shit.
This ain't some young lion coming in and taking over the pride, okay? That old tiger still has some teeth and they're sharp. So
we were in the we went to the hospital because we thought her water broke. It ended up being she didn't. The water didn't break.
What? She just pissed herself?
Yes, which is a side effect of fucking being pregnant.
Maybe we should have said that out loud on the air.
It's what happens, man.
Yeah.
You get any woman who listens to this who's been pregnant knows exactly what I'm talking about. So it happened. We didn't know.
Your water can't break, and then your body goes, "Nah, we're gonna wait." And then next time when you start going to labor, there's no water to break. I don't know how that.
No,
works.
yeah. Once the amniotic fluid is out, it's out.
No, I understand that.
But her doctor's like, "Yeah, you should probably go to the hospital." And we're both like, "But we don't. But not no contractions, no anything. Yeah, just go to the hospital." And all I'm thinking is like, you guys just want to like, you guys just know that you're sending us to pay a bill. But I was like, it's our first kid, and we want to be safe, so we went. And then the doctor was like, we'll run all these tests and everything. And there was a
Maybe she could have one of those laborless pregnancies where it just
there was a time where we almost thought that might be the case. But then all the test results came back. I'm like, no, you're fine. The baby's fine. I mean, the one thing I got out of this was they did a sonogram, and I was able to stand there. And I was like, oh, I'm here. Like I couldn't be here the entire pregnancy because of fucking COVID regulations and laws. But now I can finally stand here and get a sonogram of my baby with my wife and hear her heartbeat and all that shit. And that was cool. I
feel like this time around, COVID cases are rising and everywhere's getting overtaxed and whatever, but we're just not doing the same shutdown as we were before.
No, I think at this point it's like, well, if it's going to kill people, it's going to kill people. Oh, well, those people were probably meant to die anyway.
Well,
welcome
not
to Florida.
Except not for the hospitals and stuff. They're getting buried again.
I will say this, that
they're getting buried again.
I went to Plantation General, and I mean, I asked the nurses, and they're like, we're doing all right now. She's like, you'll be allowed in the room. Everything is fine. Just you, though. Just you. We can only allow one person in the room, but everything's fine. I'm like, you guys aren't being overrun with COVID? They're like, not yet. Not yet. And I thought that was weird because Plantation General's right there off 441. So I was just like...
Yeah, but it may be like some hospitals have been more set up for it.
Oh, fair enough. And then all those
like,
patients get transferred over. Okay, yeah.
Something like that.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
That's fair. It hasn't got to the point where if you're not set up, oh, well, you better figure it out.
Because I know, like motherfuckers in another chat, he works at a hospital, and he's like, yeah, we're fine.
And I've heard the stories, too.
Buried.
We both know people in the healthcare industry. So my brother is a paramedic. He tells me all this fucking shit. So I was just I was weirded out. I was like, I almost wanted to have the kid yesterday because I was like, everything's fine. You're in the room. maybe even my mom could come over. My family could come and see the kid while in the hospital. It looks like they're kind of like now I have it sucks for the dude, but the bed next to us was his 18-year-old girl. She came in because she thought she was having labor pains, and she was only at like 30 weeks. And her, as she said, my baby daddy, her words, not mine, who is 17, couldn't get into the hospital to see her because, just doesn't have a government issued ID. That was fun. What was even more fun was as they're about to discharge us, they discharged her, and the doctor came in and was just like, "Listen, it's just bad gas." Apparently, during pregnancy, if you're not careful about your diet, fucking like gas will hit you like a truck, and you'll think like you're tearing apart from the inside or something. Because this girl was crying at one point about how painful it was. And she's like, "Yeah, just bad gas. Just take some like Mylanta or some shit and you'll be fine." And I was like, "Oh my God." Like, that's terrible to be in that much pain. All you got to do is fart.
Either that or she's just over dramatically.
Probably.
And wait till she has that labor.
Oof.
She'll know what real. Oof. She'll be like, that guy. What was I complaining about before?
It was just crazy. It's like, here it is. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. I just lost my job, and now I'm in the hospital. I might be a dad in a few hours. It's not even noon yet. Yesterday was a crazy day. And we don't have we don't have a baby yet, although she is perfectly healthy. Here's the thing. She weighs 8 pounds.
Could you imagine?
It's a big baby.
Can you imagine if maybe how hard would it have been for them to fire you if your wife was like, if they were like, we can talk to them, and your wife was literally having the baby? You'd think they would have waited a week,
and you know what?
Giving you another paycheck.
No, because the whole agreement was I was going to take 2 weeks off, and they weren't going to pay me through it, and I was fine with that because they've had the husband wife.
I mean, you haven't even been there a year, so
no, yeah,
they don't owe you like
it owe me nothing.
Paid like
they owe me a weekly paycheck
or something like
and
that,
that's it. We always had a great relationship. I have nothing bad to say about them. They were wonderful, and I completely understand their position. Bad timing, they lose this giant contract because of the incompetence of everyone involved in the project that doesn't reflect on them at all. And an opportunity at a bid working in Orlando that would have been cool. I don't know if I would have went out to do it, being a new father, but it would have been cool opportunity nonetheless to have, and would have kept the company to a point to where I could have stayed afloat. So whatever, but they left the door very wide open, and it happened at the right time because I take
that's the wrong way to put it though, that they left the door wide open. That's like saying you decided to leave for an extended amount of time and you can come back at any time.
Well, no, because we had never we discussed me leaving, but we discussed it like once, like 5 months ago. Like time was coming up and I was going to sit down with them and be like, "Hey, listen, it's this week actually was going to be like, okay, well, if I was still gainfully employed by this company on Monday, would be like, look, it's 0 hour. At any given moment, I can get that call. And when that happens, I'm done for 2 weeks like we discussed." And they would have been fine with that and there would have been no issue. I just wouldn't have been paid for it. So I was prepared to being paid for it. A worst case would have been had this job, taken 2, 3, whatever time off I needed to take, come back, and then they get fired. That would have sucked.
Yeah.
Because then I would have been scrambling. Now I get an extra week off. I'm already taking these 2 weeks off. I've already figured out my motivations and my drive and what I'm doing for those 2 weeks, other than raising my newborn daughter. And now I just go, okay, well now I have time to make phone calls and make a good decision instead of just saying yes to the first person who's got a paycheck, which, with my luck, would be a fucking another Seth situation. So
that motherfucker.
Well, it's all right. It's all right because
that motherfucker. Let me just tell you. I know you kind of like don't like to be irritated by these things, so you kind of like go on Facebook and either block them or mute them or whatever you can do. But I'm always interested to see what these fools are up to afterwards. So him being like, now he's a professional poker player and trying to get people to sponsor him and whatever. I'm just like, I can't. Two things. I can't roll my eyes enough at this. If anyone listening gets involved with him, you deserve it.
100%.
But two, it's like, man, it just bothers me that he's succeeding in playing poker and to keep his nose above water. Where I feel like this shit just really needs to catch up with him at some point. Like
He's
worse
posting
than
as things are succeeding.
No. Because again, my roommate's girlfriend works at.
Oh, that's right. You got the inside.
Works at.
I forgot you had the fucking inside.
At the Hard Rock,
yeah.
and she told me there's a database.
Yeah.
And you can look it up. And then when some of the things he was talking about, when you look it up on database, they're recorded there.
Yeah.
But some of the others weren't. And I'm like, is he full of shit? And she's like, no, probably not, because all of us, like, all these different places, like when you have the same job as someone at another casino, kind of like those people talk and stuff. It's like network kind of thing, like all the, whatever you want to say, like the GMs, like the lower managers of the poker rooms of this place and that place, it's like a little community. So they're like, all of them are way behind on reporting results. So just because it doesn't say he's won that tournament, or whatever, it just means that they're way behind on reporting all those statistics on these like databases that, so, but it some of his early wins that he was talking about, they're on there, it's just nothing current. So, I'm just like, it just annoys me to see, like, I don't wish him well, it's like he deserves a fall on his face for all of his bullshit.
I agree. 100%.
So it's annoying when I see like these posts on, which is why you took him off your feed, but it's like to see him posting like, oh, I won a tournament, blah, 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 blah. I just want him to I want him to drown in chips and cards. Be like, oh, I shouldn't have gambled everything on my, on poker, but he's I'll never say he isn't a smart guy, and he's not good at that type of thing, like poker and math and numbers and stuff.
He's very bad at people, though.
Yeah.
Very bad at people.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So, but everyone has their strengths. Oh, I don't know, man. I'm just like, yesterday was crazy, and today I woke up. I didn't set an alarm. I just woke up because now it's basically, hey, babe, wake me up when you start having contractions and let me know. So
my alarm goes off every day at 9:22 for the weekdays when the stock market kind of. So my eyes are awake before 9:30. And today I just reached over
and went,
found the phone, hit the button, and 2 hours later it's ringing again, and I'm like, oh. It's you. And I guess you had messaged me earlier, so.
Yep, so.
All right, well, that's good. I don't know that this was a very entertaining. This wasn't like good stories or anything. This was more like informational stuff about buildings in Boca.
Listen.
By two guys that have like no engineering degrees.
I don't need an engineering degree to know that they should never have started that project.
Oh yeah, you don't need it. There's some
there's some things you could just lay eyes on and go, yep.
Well, there's some things that people like you or I who have been around enough and are familiar enough with stuff like this to go, oh yeah, that's fucked up. That's our professional.
Here's a tip. Here's a tip for anybody listening, whoever hires an engineer for any purpose. The very first question you need to ask, I don't care about anything else. I don't give a fuck about anything else about their life. I don't care. You ask them, have you ever worked as a tradesman? And if they look at you like you just asked them about fucking, quantum physics, because they have no fucking idea what you're talking about, they cannot positively help your project in any way.
Right.
If you're going to be an engineer, work in the fucking field for a few years. At least know. At least know what the fuck you're talking about.
Becoming an engineer is more like, listen, a tradesman doesn't go to school to become an engineer. An engineer goes to school to become an engineer. And you come out an engineer, you are immediately in a different pay structure and social structure work-wise. There's no reason to work the trades because you're already an engineer.
And that will last for as long as it lasts until you're exposed to having no fucking clue what you're doing. The best engineers I've ever come across, the ones that I have the most respect for, and the ones that I've had the best working relationship as far as like a project was started, we've interacted, a project ends, and everyone shakes hands, and we're like, that was cool. Like when I was out in Texas and when I was up in like Minnesota and fucking Illinois and shit doing reclamation furnaces and shit when I was doing electrical work.
Are you saying that like what you learn in the books and what the teachers teach you isn't what the real world is about?
That's what I'm saying, Ben.
Kind of like in business?
Kind of what I'm saying, Ben. Kind of what I'm saying. You know, those engineers spent time in the trade and decided to become engineers because they thought that they had more to offer than just their body, which are the smartest fucking people in the world. Something I wish that I could do, but we all know I can't fucking sit still in a classroom to save my goddamn life. So that and like doing math in my head and shit, that's never going to happen, man. I've had way too many concussions. But like someone who knows what they're talking about, that can put it on paper and put it in words and explain it in a way where you go, that makes sense. Those are the people to hire. Everybody else, just kindly tell them that they look very nice in their fucking clothing that they bought at the Goodwill. And, good luck at your next stop because you're not, no.
Yeah, but once you have the paper.
Let's look at your hands.
Once you have a degree, you're always going to get a job it's somewhere.
You can always finagle your way a job. It's keeping the job that's going to be real hard for you.
Look at Scumbag Seth.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's very, very, very true. The best in the business to ever do it. And the stuff he would call me with every day when he was out in the field. I was like, oh, okay. All right. You've seen a lot of YouTube videos, but never actually done anything with your own two hands. 10-4. 10-4. By the way, I just realized as we're talking, yes. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I unloaded all my tools yesterday. I'm like, oh, I've been gifted some tools from Seth. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So thank you for the free tools that.
Well, he ain't using them anymore.
You couldn't use them to begin with.
No, but I'm just saying, like, he got run out of the business, so.
He probably sold that big fucking nice press gun. I was thinking about that the other day. I was like, man, I'd love to keep that. Yeah. That's a good tool. Anyway, we're just kidding.
That tool got us a lot of TikTok video views.
Yes, it did.
They love that thing.
Yes, it did.
And for good or for worse, a lot of people commenting about how
I remember I took that personally for like
should solder.
Oh yeah, I took that personally for like the first video
guys.
Until I went on all these trade fucking trade sites on fucking Facebook and all the bro, fuck you. Fuck you. Listen, if you
it's just old school guys.
Yeah, if you can get the job done and it lasts, I don't give a fuck.
Right.
I don't give a fuck, man. All right, let's get the fuck out of here.
Well,
man.
pressing in a item that really should get replaced within 10 years. Like it shouldn't be super permanent, you know? Who cares?
Oh, you'll like this. We used the press gun a couple days ago, and the guy forgot to press the pin in the whole way, and the press gun locked up halfway through. I've never had that happen to me, Ben. It took us 40 minutes
to figure out how
to unfuck it, man. It was not fun. There was a moment where I'm like, we might not be able to open these fucking jaws.
So you're saying that the job wasn't quicker with the press gun that day?
Oh my god, man! I've never had a press gun lock up before. I've always been too terrified. But he was going so fast, and I was like, all right, you know what the fuck you're doing? And then he was like, it's stuck. I'm like, what do you mean it's stuck? Press guns don't get stuck.
Well, unstuck it, motherfucker.
Yeah, I thought that was going to be an easy thing. I was like, get out of the way. I'll show you. And I'm like, oh, you get this good. You know where the teeth fit into the gun assembly in that pen?
Uh-huh.
Well, you know the aluminum rails that the pin slides in? One was bent. That was how much pressure was on it. Which is kind of insane because it's a pretty hefty fucking,
all that
piece of
stuff's
equipment.
pretty solid. All right, let's wrap this motherfucker up.
All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. Like, subscribe, all that nonsense.
Go buy a T-shirt or something, or don't. I don't know.
Show us you love us, please. For the love of God, show us you love us.
I haven't seen any signs of affection yet.
No. Very loveless marriage we're in with our fan base.
I'm growing a tail here. We gotta go.
Okay, bye.